I think I'm losing it. So I put up a video like 10:30 last night, you guys. I thought it was Tuesday night. It was Wednesday night. So I said this morning's video when you woke up. It's called Bitter and Broke. I said like happy Wednesday morning. It's actually freaking Thursday. I think I'm getting older. I have to ask Google at times what day of the week it is. All right. So so I meant to say happy Thursday on this morning's video. Bitter and Broke. I'm telling you, folks. There's a real day of reckoning coming for people who have unmanageable student loans. And I am telling you, as Auntie, Big Sister, whatnot, guys, don't wait till it gets worse, because, something I've learned, it only gets worse. That's all that happens when you take it and you ignore it. And, I've talked to people who are really afraid of dealing with their student loans. It's like that monster in the closet. But if I could beg people to do anything that are in default or you're struggling with your student loans. I've even reached out to people that I know personally, and I've said, hey, you know what, if you need help, navigating the student loans, ask me, okay? Even you guys, out there in the online world, if there's something I can do to help guide you, type it in the comments. I am more than happy to help you if I possibly can. And if I can't, there are probably people in the community that can. So here's the thing. According to CNBC this morning, the report was updated, right? And just as I suspected, even though May 5th has come and gone, it's not like a bunch of people woke up on May 5th and all their student loans were just all of a sudden garnished. This is federal loans in default. I kind of figured that wouldn't happen. The real push is coming this summer. Now, according to the CNBC article, hey, I've decided Card Chat is great for news articles on the way to work, So according to the CNBC article, Wednesday, of course, it just came across my feed because I'm too cheap to pay for it. So I wait till it comes across my feed. Okay. The garnishments are really going to be happening during the summer. And it is estimated that they're going to be around 5.3. What's that 0.3 in comparison to everything else, right? They're going to be around 5 million garnishments. But here's the thing. I think that number can be drastically dropped if people will simply pick up the phone and contact their service provider. I really, really think it doesn't have to come down to 5 million people. So I looked up to see what are the federal rules on garnishment. And as we know, it's 15% of disposable income. Now, in some ways, in many ways, that's good. The fact that the garnishment for federal loans is 15% of disposable income. You're going to have to trust me. I did look it up. If you have followed my channel, I don't give you information if I can't verify a source, okay? I just can't give you the source while I'm driving. But at least it means that they take into consideration your standard cost of living. And I believe, if I'm correct, the dollar amount for garnishment, it's 15% of your disposable, or something like $217 a week maximum. And then they said something about, 30 times your wage. Well, I don't make that much, so I don't have to worry about that. But here's the thing, guys. If you are sitting in default, you do not have to be one of those people that's going to get your loans garnished if you will pick up the phone and call your provider. And people, we got to stop making excuses. These excuses that, and you've heard it on my channel, I'm sure other channels as well. We have got to stop these excuses of, it's not for me to have to call and solve my loan because they changed who my provider is. So, and I'm only going to pay the original provider. Then you're going to be broke and bankrupt the rest of your life on student loans. Your student loan handler is going to change possibly many times over. In the 16 years that I had mine, I think it changed nothing less than 3 times. It went from the federal government, then it went to Sallie Mae, then it went to Navient, then it went to Mohila. God help us with Mohila. And then it was actually getting ready to transfer, that Mohila transfer, when I guess basically Mohila was fired. It was getting ready for basically its 4th, 5th change. Okay, so your student loan is going to change a lot. I think the one thing that all these student loan stories have really, really made me realize, guys, there is a dollar amount that is so daunting to one's budget. I'm not going to say you can't get out of it, but I'm going to put a light cotton ball touch, and maybe in some cases even a heavy foot down. Guys, you can get yourself in so much loan debt, you can't get out of it. If we look at what the average income is in the United States, okay, we look at what, the average pay is for just a basic public service worker, even non-public, all right? How can you, and this is what I've come to realize, How on earth can you pay off a $200,000, $300,000 student loan when you are making $60,000 a year? Or if you decide to have a family and one person's going to stay at home and your whole family is going to live on $60,000. You've got families that live on what I make in a year by myself, and I could not pay off $100,000. Let me stand corrected. I could pay it off at the sacrifice of cash for my retirement. Oh, that wasn't a dead animal I just went over. Okay, good. That was just a bag of garbage. Phew. Okay. So, but I really have thought about it. And I think the one awakening personally that I've come to realize, guys, you can get yourself in so much student loan debt. I don't know how to tell you to get out of it. And the Ramsey show, which I do a lot of reactions to, don't worry, those reactions are coming. Okay. I've just been really busy with TikTok. All right. But even Dave Ramsey at times, it's like you can tell they don't have an answer. You have got to be careful that the loan amount you are getting yourself into does not only sink you financially, okay, but it sinks your future retirement. So oftentimes, you'll hear people saying, I've heard it too, okay, I don't care, I'll pay my student loan for the next 20 years. Well, if you factor that your 30s and 40s, but let's not count the 20s even, because the 20s, if you can pay off your student loan in your 20s, I think you're kicking it. Okay, you are rocking. But your 30s, 40s, especially, those are incredible building years, whether you're choosing to build a family, whether you're choosing to perhaps build a business, whether you are deciding that you're going to be really aggressive and you want to have some life-changing experience, explore the world, go help starving children in a third world country, whatever. Do you really want your freaking freedom to do those things, whether you want to be a stay-at-home mom, whether all those things, do you really want that tied up for the next 20 years as you pay off your stupid student loans? I'm not calling you stupid, okay? I carry student loans too. And I think what I've come to realize, and it's interesting being a YouTube creator who does a lot of these reactions, because it's kind of like getting a dose of medicine. And every time, I get a little smarter and a little sharper. My student loan reactions and my thoughts today about what I think of student loans, the amount that people get into, it is nothing like it was when I started doing student loan reactions 3 years ago. 3 years ago, when I started doing student loan reactions, mine was the basic, hey, try to get on PSLF, don't get too much, student loan debt. And it was very basic because it had been my experience. Don't worry, I'm at a red light. It had been my experience after 16 years. But doing student loan reactions for 3 straight years. I mean, I've done now 3 straight years, okay? Dewey, Parlor, okay? They know what I'm talking about, all right? The thing is I have grown, and I mean this sincerely, I have grown not just understanding the technicals of the student loans, okay, but I've grown at understanding how incredibly damaging they are, how incredibly hurtful they are in taking a teenager, 17, 18, 19, and you're going to commit them till they're 40. And the sad part is so many of you young people, or the young people, I'm not sure how many 18, 19-year-olds watch this channel. The audience typically for this channel is around 30s, 40s, okay? But so many young people are swearing that they're going to commit themselves until they're 40 years old to paying off student loan debt because this is the goal that they have. And you know what's dawned on me as I've been a YouTube creator for 3 years focusing on student loans? It has dawned on me that part of the reason I believe young people are willing to make this commitment is this is all they've ever experienced in life. In other words, they have nothing else to draw from other than attending school, K through 12, all right, taking some state exams, mom and dad have paid for everything. And here's the thing, even if they've been in foster care, even if they've been in, group home situations, okay, and hopefully they have been decent situations, but I'm going to digress from that, all right? But somebody else has been there, hopefully somebody else has been there to take care of them. So when they are teenagers and they say to you, or late teens, okay, they graduate from high school and they say to you, oh, mom, dad, guidance counselor, teacher, whomever, they say, I'm willing to spend 10, 20, 25 years to pay off this loan because I want this degree so much. But it's dawned on me after having done this for 3 years, and I didn't realize this 3 years ago, they're partly able to say that, if not 75% of the way saying it, because no other experiences have come along in their life that will shape them in understanding that, look, you are committing, in some cases, many cases, financial suicide. When you go in as a 19-year-old, you're willing to take on $100,000 student loan, $200,000 student loan. What's the rate? Something like 30-40% will never graduate. They will drop out before they get their diploma. Now they're stuck paying on a bill that they didn't even get a diploma for. Another huge percent will graduate and they will not work in the career that they majored in. And 3 years ago, okay, because being a good creator, in my opinion, being a good YouTube creator, I should grow with my audience. I should grow with my technical understanding of YouTube. I should grow in understanding who you are as my audience, which I appreciate you more than you possibly know, okay? Because this takes so much work to do, and I'm glad that there is an audience that appreciates it, even if you disagree, okay? I'm cool with that too. But I could not and would not have been able to draw this conclusion 3 years ago when I first started. And I think what's amazing to me as a creator discussing student loans, I have learned so much from listening to student loan stories over and over and over. I have learned so much from reading the stories of my subscribers. And you're going to start noticing, I want us to really build a community where we talk about this stuff, because 3 years ago, when I started talking about student loans, and this used to be called Student Loan Chit-Chat, all right? So if I seem kind of passionate, well, now you know why, all right? But it dawned on me, part of the reason young people are so confident about the commitment of, I can pay this off for 20 years, it's okay, I really want this degree. It's because they've never been a mommy. They've never been a daddy. They've never perhaps had the opportunity yet to start a business. They haven't had the opportunity to meet somebody that they really love that would have married them, but chose not to marry them because they say to them, oh, and I have $250,000 in non-bankruptable student loans. They have no other life experiences. When you have no other life experiences, like I said, other than K through 12 and going through everybody else is taking care of you. I mean, let's think about it. They go from living at mom and dad's home and mom and dad taking care of them to what? Oh, now the federal government is going to take care of them. So in other words, it's easy to make a commitment. Why does this lady park her car here every day? It is easy to make a commitment. It's easy to make a commitment and say that you're going to have no problem, taking on a bill for 20 years when your life experience is so short that, you don't have any other experience to draw on. And how many times have we heard, oh, I got a few minutes here still. How many times have we heard a young person, actually an older person, let's say they're now in their 30s, they've been carrying student loans for like 10 years, okay? Hold on. How many times have we heard them say at 30 years old, you know what? When I was 18, I had no problem taking on the loan. I didn't understand what I was doing. I thought I was going to build my career on the degree that I chose. They said to me it was going to pay enough that I could pay off my student loan. Well, you know what? Now I'm 30, 35, you name the age. I'm now a mom. I've either started a business, I have a spouse, whatever. And you know what? Those student loans are no longer important to me. I don't care about these student loans now because I have found something that's more important than my student loan. And that, to me, the other day, I'm telling you, people, I went ka-ching. This is what the 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds do not understand when they sign on the line. They don't understand that something more important, something greater than their student loan is going to be what actually overrides their, desire to pay off that debt. So what winds up happening is now they become 30-year-olds. So they no longer care about the student loan that they once thought when they were, late teens, that they once thought reigned supreme when they had no other life experiences to draw on. They now have something new. They now have 10, 15 more years of life experience to go, you know what? The student loan is not the biggest thing. I'm going to go ahead and start my family, even though I'm carrying $150,000 in student loans that I can't pay off. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start this business, even though I'm carrying 75 grand in student loans I can't pay off. You see? But the question becomes, how do you tell someone who is in their late teens? How do you explain to them in a way that, look, you really don't want to take on this huge amount of debt? Because I promise you, okay, I promise you, 15 years, not even 15, heck, give it 5 to 10 years from now, there's going to be something more important to you than this student loan debt. You see? It's kind of like, I almost think of it like buy now, pay later. I'm going to purchase something now and I'm going to pay it off later. I looked at a couch probably about last summer, and I was like, oh, heck no, I'm not doing it. It was a buy now, pay later. It was one of those afternoons. I like to window shop, right? And I was looking at these couches. I think it was like a Lazy Boy or something. And if I'm going to purchase something, I'm going to pay for it up front. They had a payment plan on these couches for up to 10 years. 10 freaking years for a couch? Are you kidding? But yet, don't we do the same thing with student loans? We tell students you can buy it now through almost like a payday sort of arrangement with the federal government, your student or your private loan provider. God help you, please stay away from the private loans, okay? But you take that on now and you think, hey, I'm happy to pay for it over the next 10, 15 years. And what happens? Just like the couch that I saw that they were putting on a 10-year payment plan, I kid you not, okay? What happens? All of a sudden the couch is old, it's worn, it's lost like with cars, it's lost that new car smell, and all of a sudden you don't want it anymore, and something new comes along. You're like, you know what, screw it, I'm not going to pay on that old item. I'm now interested in paying on this item. The problem is you've committed yourself to something in the past, and it's not something that you can go bankrupt on. You see? So that commitment, this buy now, pay later, so to speak, because think about it. Aren't we slamming everybody for, you shouldn't do buy now, pay later? That's horrible, horrible. But what is a student loan if it's not buy now, pay later? Something to think about. I got to get to work. Love you guys. Bye.